My fellow Chelsea supporters, welcome to the Blue Day podcast. I am your host, the man with the face for podcasting, Keith Lawrence. To join me on this episode today is, of course, my co-host. He's your friend of mine. He's the man living it large up north. It's Warren. Warren, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Keith. Welcome viewers. Welcome listeners. Welcome viewers. I hope you've all had a good weekend. It was a positive one with regards to the football, of course, which we're going to dive into. But yeah, welcome. Not
positive with lockdown, but we'll try and not talk about politics too much on this particular episode.
Not in lockdown just yet.
However, with regards to lockdown, I just want everyone to, keep staying safe, keep being positive, and we will get through this. It's just taking longer than what people obviously assumed it would, but let's just hope that over Christmas time we will still be able to spend time with our loved ones over the festivities. But talking of loved ones, always love an away performance, Warren, and the one on Saturday against that grim, horrible lot up north, Burnley, you can't get any better than that, really. A nice professional performance.
Yeah, it was. It was a thoroughly enjoyable performance. I kind of anticipated that Werner may have been rested, which he was going to be until Pulisic pulled up in the warm-up. I hope that's very precautionary rather than like needs must kind of thing. I hope it was just wanted to take extra care of him because he's had a lot of injuries and stuff. So hoping that he's going to be back, hoping he's still sort of at full fitness for midweek, really. But really good, positive lineup. I was pleased to see Mount come, but playing in that slightly deeper role with Kante in behind him and Havertz in front of him, he really, really blossomed in that role. He dictated the pace of the game at times. He got his foot in. He spread the ball well. He was a threat going forward. There was a few chances that he had that he could have done a bit better with, to be fair. But yeah, Mount was really, really good. Kante was just, exemplary as always. Looked pretty solid at the back. We got caught out with one angled ball at 0-0. Zuma got caught a little bit, but that's what Burnley do really, really well. That's what their profession is, playing balls like that. So, Silva and Zuma were really, really good. Chilwell, again, just fits into the team like a glove. And then, obviously, moving on to, your Havertz and your Werner and your Ziyech and, Hudson-Odoi drifted in and out of the game at times. Felt he could have done a bit more, but yeah, it was a really, really good performance. We kept the ball really well. We always looked like a threat going forward. It was like the complete performance. It was very similar to the Palace and the Krasnodar game. Yeah, we played really, really, really well. It was really. I know that you went retro on Saturday, Keith. I know that you waited for match of the day in your own sort of protest to the pay-per-view debacle that is going on at the minute. How did you find it? Obviously, only seeing match of the day, but I know that you read a lot of reports and I know that you've done a lot of research on the game over the last couple of days. So what did you make of it?
Well, I just want to start off by saying that fuck whoever decided to go with pay-per-view option, and I hope that a lot of the Chelsea supporters boycotted it. Yeah. I had my reasons why I boycotted it, and it was the first time in over a year that I have not watched Chelsea live, either on telly or actually been at the stadium. It's the first time that has happened for a long time. So I was a little bit pissed off with it, but again, I had my reasons. So in regards to Sky and BT and the Premier League, fuck them. But no, I did go retro. I did decide to wait until 10:30 for match of the day, and then I was a bit annoyed that I had to wait to see the Chelsea game because they had the Liverpool game on first, which I thought was a lot shittier than our game.
And especially considering that wasn't one of the games that was on pay-per-view. That was one of the games that is more easily available to a lot of fans on Saturday, because it was on Sky Sports, wasn't it? Just normal.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. But no, I decided to wait till match of the day, and I saw the lineup, wasn't really surprised. I know we discussed, predicted Werner would have a rest. I firstly thought he wouldn't, but, needless to say, he did. He went with Tammy, and Listen, Tammy, I know it sounds silly, Tammy looks like a new man at the moment. He looks actually rejuvenised with having competition.
Do you know what I've seen with Tammy is something that a lot of people pointed out, and I felt that Tammy's not the best at holding the ball up and linking the play and everything like that, and I've kind of always thought that actually he is. He's just never quite had the opportunity in the formation and the players around him to actually do it. And I think he's showing that in the last couple of games is he set up, was it Pulisic in midweek, and he set up Ziyech. He didn't look too much of a threat himself. I think he needs to work on the balance of linking the play and still being that option in behind and being a goal getter, because Tammy still needs to score 20 plus goals a season like he did last season to have a chance to get in the team. But he's still so young and he's still learning so much, like Hudson-Odoi's still a teenager as well. So I was really pleased to see Tammy come in, and I think he played well. And I think that he was, more than anything else, he was kind of like the invisible option that as fans we don't perhaps see, but Burnley players, being the professional players they are, were aware of him all the time. And I think that gave Ziyech and Werner and Havertz the space to work in. And yeah, Tammy was class on Saturday. I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because I forgot to mention Tammy. So yeah, it was a good observation.
Well, it was good to see Tammy, how he played with that sort of presence he had up front. I know he did that against Krasnodar a little bit, but obviously against Burnley it was more seen. It was more sort of looked at. And yeah, giving Werner a little bit of a rest. All right, he did have to come on because Pulisic was injured in the warm-up, but the intent was there to give Werner a break. And I do actually think that
without Tammy, sorry to cut you off there, Keith, but without Tammy, if Christian Pulisic's injury is merely a precaution, without Tammy there being able to fill those boots and play that role, he may have been forced to risk Pulisic from the start and risk injuring him for a longer period of time.
Yes, of course. So looking at the Rennes game, I know we're going a little bit fast forward here, but looking into the Rennes game, it wouldn't surprise me if Werner was on the bench for that one. Because I do believe Frank is potentially looking at giving certain players a rest. And also the interesting thing is that the players that he's picking to come on are actually making an impact. Whereas last season, you couldn't say that a lot about the players. So that is one big positive out of it. The one positive that I saw from the Match of the Day highlights was how much of a presence Thiago Silva has been, and not just the calmness that he provides at the back. I know against West Brom he made a mistake and everyone's entitled to them. And I know against certain teams, we haven't been completely solid. We've been solid for the last 4 or 5 games, which has been good, but it made such a difference. And I was wary of that when we signed him, because of his age and because of I thought that he was just decreasing in his ability a little bit, but so far Lampard is using him wisely.
Yeah.
He's using him in the games that I believe are more suited to his game than others. But I think that Mendy is getting confidence from his defence in front of him, knowing that he's got someone like Thiago Silva who's won everything.
We touch upon Mendy there, who's been, really good. He's done all the basics, and he's made a few really good saves as well, and he's a calm presence, and when he picks up the ball with both his hands, you can't see the ball because his hands are so fucking big, it's ridiculous. But I think that huge credit has to go to Mendy, and huge credit has to go to Lampard and the club for signing Mendy at the moment. Of course it does. And huge credit has to go to signing Thiago Silva and stuff like that. But again, it begs the question of how, and I know that Kepa made a lot of mistakes, but, when he had Emerson and Alonso and Zuma and Christensen and Rudiger and people just making nothing but mistakes in front of him, it's like hardly that much of a surprise. So, like you say, bringing in Silva, I think also bringing in Chilwell, it's such a better balance now. It was either Emerson or Alonso, so we lost a little bit of something, even though we gained having Alonso on the pitch, we still lost something in having him on the pitch now. Whereas with Chilwell, we have that balance, and he balances our team out. And he's left-footed, so Azpilicueta hasn't got to go across there to make it solid, and then puts the balance of the team out with a right-footed player over there. Obviously, Ziyech and Werner and Havertz are starting to get the full fitness. Odoi, Pulisic are getting there as well. Kante's had a proper rest for the first time in his career, probably, and everything's just starting to click into place now. But yeah, it was very pleasing to see how we defended against Sevilla and Burnley in particular. Man United can be very dangerous. I mean, they can also not be very dangerous as well. They're very inconsistent, obviously, at the minute. But keeping them clean sheets is obviously the big thing moving forward. I think we kind of needed them two really negative performances almost against Sevilla and Man United just to get that balance to move forward. And then since then, we scored 7 goals, so...
I will make a prediction now that Chilwell will make well over 200 Chelsea appearances in his career. He has been an absolute breath of fresh air on that left-hand side. I'm not taking nothing away from Marcos Alonso. For one season, he was a fantastic servant. But as a wing back. But as the seasons that followed, I believe he has been found out, and his performances and his overall play got a little bit stale. It
would be like putting Victor Moses at right back, though. We think of Alonso as more of a defender who became a left wing back, and Victor Moses as a right wing forward who became a right wing back. But it's not really. Alonso was always an attack-minded, left-sided player. And, he varied his position throughout his career. But the wing-back was his option. So maybe I think we've been a bit harsh with Marcos Alonso. I also happen to really like Marcos Alonso. He's somebody that I have a soft spot for anyway. But he was never a defender. He was always being played out of position, always. So, but yeah, you're right. The balance that Chilwell brings to the side is,
You're talking about Marcos Alonso. I will always have a soft spot for him for his brilliant header against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge when he pretty much battered Hector Bellerin on the floor, didn't get a foul, and he celebrated like it was the best header in English football. And that sort of celebration, I saw that as, well done, son, superb. Yes, it was a bit of a shame. It went past Petr Cech, but his overall expression after the game was brilliant. So, I have a soft spot for Marcos Alonso, but unfortunately, he is in that David Luiz category. He had one good season playing in a certain position, playing in a certain way, and he got caught out the season after. Who was that guy who sung the song "I Am the One and Only"? Was it Chesney Hawkes? The one-hit wonder?
Possibly.
Right. Well, that's what Marcos Alonso reminds me of. He had one good season, and so since that particular period, it sort of went a little bit awry. A bit like Victor Moses as well. He had that one good season with us in 2016, 2017. Completely different player. Bearing in mind when he was at Wigan, he was a young lad, even at Palace. So
a lot of them went through Palace.
Yes. So, but back to Chilwell, fantastic to see him with consistent performances, and I look at the squad that was played against Burnley, and I look at the likes of Kante actually playing in his favoured position.
By himself, he's usually got someone next to him as well, but he didn't. Mount played ahead of him.
And Kante looks like the former Kante of old.
Yeah.
Definitely. Mount, they're still questioning his attributes. There are actually some that are questioning why he's in the team, and the fact that I remember, Warren, that when Barkley was put out on loan earlier this season, people were saying that, Mason Mount should have been sent out on loan. Mason Mount, what does he bring to the team? Mount this season, how I believe, is becoming a man from last season. He has stepped up. And he is one of the lieutenants that Lampard is relying on.
Well, again, this is the thing. You just got to look at the people that question Mount are the people that question Lampard. I think it's fair to say that a lot of the high percentage of people that don't support Mount don't support Lampard as well. Mason Mount is a mainstay in the Chelsea team. He's a regular in the England squad, and he's starts and comes on nearly every single time he's in the England squad. Gareth Southgate's a huge admirer of him. His fellow professionals from other teams. I was watching a clip on Sky Sports recently, and they was talking to players from Leicester, and then I think they went to Aston Villa, and then it might have even been a Soccer AM thing. And obviously a lot of people at Soccer AM are Chelsea fans, so they mentioned Mason Mount got mentioned. You know, people talked about Tammy's goals and Reece James breaking through, and you know, like the chances that Loftus-Cheek didn't seem to get, and then they were saying about Mason Mount and what a terrific footballer he is, and his attitude towards the game, and he works so hard, and he's just a lovely lad as well, apparently. But with regards to him, people thinking he shouldn't be in the team, I don't really know what else to say. I don't know whether I'm watching a different game to them or whatever, because I don't understand what game they're fucking watching, because Mason Mount is a fantastic footballer and he's playing really well and he plays in different positions every week. And like I say, the work ethic that he puts in. And you've got to remember that some people are in the team. Some people get into great teams on their work rate alone, and they don't necessarily have the attributes or the skills of a Mason Mount. Mason Mount has those attributes and them skills and that work ethic, and he's still so young and he still has so much to learn. He still has to find his perfect position and try and integrate himself into the team like that. But we've gone out and spent £250 million on players to add to people like Abraham and Giroud and Hudson-Odoi and Kovacic and Jorginho and people like that. And Mount is still starting every week. So it's like, I don't know what else he can do. It's one of them things that nothing I say is ever going to be able to prove how brilliant he is to these. Don't think that Mason Mount should be in the team, because they have their views and they're entitled to their opinions, but they're piss fucking ignorant and they're wrong, because Mason Mount is an absolutely fantastic footballer. End of discussion. Move on.
We will move on, because I would like to actually talk about Hakim Ziyech. Another goal for him.
Yes.
Took it superbly well. You know,
yes.
I think that
people gave the goalkeeper a hard time for that. He was unsighted, which Ziyech knew. Ziyech knew he could play it through the legs of the defender, which he did. And he placed it far. Okay, so the keeper's positioning might not have been great, but, you know, it was such quick and intricate football. I think that's a really, really lovely goal, I do. Like, the whole build-up, the finish, everything about it was lovely. But sorry, yeah.
Well,
he did, like, carry on about Ziyech, because I never hear enough of it.
I believe he's given Frank more food for thought, because why leave him out the team? Against Krasnodar, he done very well. Against Burnley, he done... Fitness
and fatigue might be a bit of an issue at this point of the season, because he's, like we discussed on the last podcast, he's been out for a long time.
He has. And with rotation being a big thing, you know, we've got 2 games now before the international break in Rennes and Sheffield United. Wouldn't surprise me if Hakim features in both games. I have no doubt he'll feature in both games. It just depends on whether he'll start. But you look at the performances of Hakim Ziyech, you look at the performances of Tammy, Thiago, Kante. There's so many at the moment. It's starting to gel.
What I've noticed, and Werner might be the slight exception to this, because Werner is a bit more likely to have a shot from 20-25 yards. He's still not prone to doing it, but he's a bit more likely than the other players I'm going to mention. But what I think Ziyech brings to the team, and this is something I mentioned against Krasnodar, you remember what I said about he's the option to shoot from 25-30 yards, right? What that does is, because if you look down our left, we've got players, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi and Werner, all their favourite position is playing in from the left, right? But none of them are particularly prone to cutting inside from 25-30 yards. That's when they pass inside, like you were saying about Hudson-Odoi. He comes back inside and he passes. Ziyech, what he looks to do is actually have a shot. Now, what that does is, when he cuts inside a central midfielder and a fullback, and looks like he's shaping up to have a shot, not only are them 2 players coming towards him, but one of the centre-backs is going to step out as well. And what I've noticed is that's leaving so much space for a Reece James to run into. And the amount of times we got in, it never quite 100% worked, really, apart from for the goal when the goal came from the right-hand side, Ziyech's goal. It never really quite worked 100%, but that is an option that we didn't have last season, because both of our players, we'd always see it, we'd have a player wide out on the right and then Azpilicueta or Reece James following them, and there was times that it worked, but it was too easy to see us down into the corner and then force us to play back out, and then we've nullified our attack from that. Whereas now, because Ziyech is cutting inside and giving us so many more options, just with his style of play and his attitude towards the game, it's really, really exciting to see.
And Warren, just to complete this notion of what we're talking about here, I think that the performances of Hakim Ziyech, the performances of even Callum Hudson-Odoi as well, with Pulisic looking to try and keep his form going, because at the moment he's in and out of the team with injury. But my point is that there's no regrets. There should be no doubt. There should be no regrets in people's minds that Lampard was wrong to get rid of a Willian. Well, at the end of the day, Willian is no longer.
I can't remember a time in nearly the last 10 years that a player over 30 has been offered a more than 1 year contract at Chelsea, and Willian was offered a 2-year contract. Chelsea broke their own rules. Chelsea did the one thing that I never thought they would do and offer him a 2-year contract. He wanted a 3-year contract. It was slightly greedy with the young players coming through and the money that we're spending. I do wish that he would have stayed. I think he could have brought a lot to us, but I don't think it's Lampard or the club's mistake. I think it's one of them situations where Willian kind of wanted what he wanted, and we wasn't prepared to offer him that. And I stand by the club for that. I do. I really, really stand by the club for that. When Hudson-Odoi stayed, we had already bought Ziyech. We've gone out and bought Werner.
I was just going to say, this is my point. You know, we have got players that have come through, and I'm a little bit different to you. I don't actually think Willian was brilliant last season. I thought he was a bit of a letdown, but there are many Chelsea fans, and you saw it as well as I did on social media and with Chelsea fans criticising the club for getting rid of a Willian, you know, and not giving him what Willian wanted. Well, I'm sorry, but is he really pulling up trees at Arsenal at this moment in time? No. And you look at the performances and the style of play that we're implementing, we're not missing Willian at all. I don't believe. So, again, another player that we've let go.
I don't think we're missing Willian now. I think that there was maybe an argument to be made at the start of the season when Odoi wasn't in the team, Pulisic wasn't fit, Ziyech wasn't fit, and a few other things. I think there was the time at the start of the season against Brighton, Liverpool, even against Sevilla at times, where he could have fit into the team and he could have brought a lot to the team. But I still definitely don't think it's a mistake. I'm happier with the players that we've got now than Willian and Pedro, and that is in no disrespect to both of them, because I would applaud both of them coming back to the bridge. I thank them both for their service. They were both fantastic players and brought a lot of joy and success to our club. But I'm more happy with what we've got now. I mean, aren't you, Keith? Are you happier with what we've got now?
Well, this is my whole point. I believe we have strengthened in that particular area from last season. You know, Pedro wasn't getting a lot of game time.
They're 10 years younger now. Our options are now 10 years younger.
Yes, I believe looking at the future, we have enhanced from last season in that department. So it just pisses me off, folks, when something happens whereby a player's left, or we've brought a player in and there's already negative comments. There's already, oh, well, he's not the same as this guy. Oh, well, this guy made 200 odd appearances. Oh, he's done brilliant. And Jesus fucking Christ, give people a chance.
Well, as you know, Keith, I mean, with my overly positive frame of mind, and I do appreciate listeners and Keith yourself and my friends and family who I rant about football to all the time, I do appreciate that I'm an overly positive person, and sometimes that's extremely frustrating, because sometimes you just want to say, well, that was fucking shit, wasn't it? And sometimes you just need someone to say, yeah, do you know what, that was dog shit, wasn't it? And I do understand that, and I am like that sometimes. I do appreciate I'm an overly positive person, but you're right, Keith, it's the negativity. You can imagine that it gets to you a little bit, it gets to me probably even more, because I'm an extra positive person, which is something that I accept. I accept a certain amount of negativity about my positive attitude all the time. But yeah, it is extremely frustrating, especially when I don't understand how people can complain. Yes, look, I've just made my point about Willian. I would applaud if he came back in an Arsenal shirt when he walked out. I would clap him. I would say that right now. Fantastic servant to our club. Fantastic song. Came to us in brilliant circumstances. Scored 2 against Tottenham last year, and I was there in their new toilet, and that was absolutely fantastic. Has brought me incredible memories. But look at who we've signed. Werner is just better than Willian. That's just how it is. And he's 10 years younger. And he can bring more to our club. It's as simple as that. So, fuck everyone's negativity, because we're going to win the league.
Well, I'm glad you've mentioned that, because we actually had a conversation this morning while I was having brunch and you was doing what you need to do. We was actually talking about how this league has become so open. And so
competitive
It's become competitive.
And not open, and not open, and this is the thing, it hasn't become really open because teams are not as good as last season and the lockdown and this and blah, blah. It's just that it's so much more competitive. You know, the teams that stayed up last season, that came up the season before, Aston Villa and Sheffield United, they've improved. Like, Sheffield United have had a bit of a bad start to the season, but if you look at Aston Villa and how well they're doing, how well Leeds are doing, Wolves have improved again, Leicester look a strong outfit again. Man City, apart from their one really poor performance against Leicester, have been pretty good. Liverpool is still picking up the wins. So it's ultra compared. Look how brilliant Southampton are at the minute. Danny Ings has scored as many goals as any other Englishman in however long it's been, the last 12 months or whatever, or this year or whatever it is. And James Ward-Prowse, his free kicks yesterday. And yeah, so it's a very, very competitive league. And I do think that Chelsea have actually got a bit more of a chance of winning the league than I thought that we did at the start of the season because of how competitive it is. What I will say is people saying that Tottenham are going to win the league, right? Just for start. Right, but secondly, another reason they won't win the league is because they don't deserve to win the fucking league, because they're a bunch of diving, cheating, trying to get penalty cunts. Yesterday, Harry Kane, right, who is the world's most blatant diver, he's always done it, the way that he rolls over to get a free kick to make it look like he's been fouled. Not only did he foul Lallana yesterday and manage to get a penalty, but in the second half there was about 4 or 5 instances of Tottenham players blatantly diving, try and get penalties, and then they conceded a goal because they was too busy bitching at the fucking referee to notice Eric Lamberty walk into the penalty box, and they're all sat there fucking whinging and moaning about it. And yes, it probably was a foul. Yes, it probably should have been disallowed. But you know what? The blatant diving that was going on from fucking Tottenham players yesterday, they should have had 6 men left on the fucking field because it was an absolute fucking disgrace. And I understand that players go down very easy in a day of VAR. There only needs to be that little bit of contact and blah blah and all the rest of it. And I can understand seeing contact coming and anticipating it and then going down under that. Right, this, whether I agree with it or like it or not, it's in the game and I accept it. Right, whether I like it is a different thing, but I accept it. But what Tottenham were doing yesterday, honestly. And I'm glad they brought this up on Match of the Day. I don't give Match of the Day a lot of credit, but I watched Match of the Day too last night, and even they were saying it was an absolute disgrace and they was trying to rob themselves penalties. And the fact that it was Martin Keown said it perfectly. He said, I'm going to get a lot of stick for this, but that's dangerous play from Harry Kane on the line, because he's looking at him and then he's waited for him to jump and he's backed into his legs and gone underneath him. He said he could have really, really hurt. He said he's seen players, even in training, get really, really hurt doing shit like that, because they're not jumping for the ball thinking, oh, it's training, I'm going to take it light, but they back into the player, and one person does jump who is being competitive in training, and he said he's seen injuries be caused. He said it's dangerous play from Harry Kane, and Tottenham got a fucking penalty. And I'm not going to talk about VAR, I'm not going to talk about the referees, I'm just talking about why Tottenham ain't going to win it, because the only way they can beat fucking Brighton is by trying to cheat their way through the fucking game and bitch and moan their way through the game and trying to get stuck into the referee and everything, trying to influence his decisions. So fuck them. Fuck Mourinho, fuck Kane, fuck Son, fuck Bale. He looks like a fucking elf from Lord of the Rings. Fuck them all. They ain't going to win shit. Like they're going to win the same as what they win every other fucking season. You mark my words. Fuck them.
Have you banged your toe on the door?
No, I've fucking worked up a bit now though. It was just so blatant yesterday. Like I say, people will mention Salah and the way that he went down against West Ham, and yeah, you know, it was a soft one. And again, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I accept that that's part of the game. But if you watch that in comparison to in the second half yesterday, there was a moment when Tottenham were on the attack and Brighton players really, really kicked off about it. It was at 1-0, I think. And Son and Kane both went down in really quick succession. And if you look at, Harry Kane, right, nobody made contact with him. And he's jumped on the floor and done his little tuck and roll. And he's put in a face like he's been shot, grabbing hold of his ankle. Now, how's that not simulation? How's he not got booked? VAR have checked it for a penalty, by the way. So once VAR have seen that it's not a penalty, how is that not simulation and a yellow card? That's what I don't understand. And I'm not saying Tottenham are getting treated like, you know, they're getting let off with more things or whatever, or blah, blah. I'm just saying, to the rules of the game, I don't understand how that's not, I don't understand how they're not being punished for trying to cheat. Because that is all they were doing. They was literally 5 or 6 occasions yesterday they was trying to cheat, not trying to gain the advantage, not making the most of the rules, cheating. They won't win fuck all because one of their players will get injured and they'll be fucked. Gareth Bale will find a nice golf course soon. What do you think of him, Keith? Do you think they're looking good? Do you think they can push for the title? I mean, I know that it's a very open season and we must expect the unexpected, but I mean, really, do you like?
No, I really don't give a fuck. The one thing that I really do not wish to happen is that Tottenham become successful and we hear the king's penis of punditry lap it up.
Keeps in a good mood this morning. Keeps in a good mood this morning. Tottenham and successful in the same sentence. Fucking hell.
I just don't want to hear the king penis of punditry lapping it up like he did a couple of years ago when Spurs were in the Champions League final and he, obviously wanted to be part of that and yeah, what a cock. Listen, anyway, this isn't the Tottenham show, this is the Blue Day podcast, so let's stick with the pride of London, let's stick with the West Londoners, let's stick with our boys, shall we? We've got a game on Wednesday against Rennes, as I like to call them, against Rennes, Mendy's old team.
At the preferred TV time slot of 8 p.m.
Well, and also the fact that unless you're already paying for BT Sport, you don't have to pay extra for this game. So yes. that's not too bad either.
Well, I have a BT subscription, fortunately. So
this end as well. But against Rennes, I'm expecting another win. I know it sounds quite easy to say it now, but we're on form. I expect Lampard to
must continue. We must continue
it, yes.
So we must continue. At the moment, we're somewhat, and I don't say this sort of like over the top, but we're somewhat riding the crest of a wave at the minute. Tails are up. We must take advantage of it. We must use that positive attitude and use that to influence our intensity in the game. I think our intensity levels against Burnley at times were a little bit low. I think that Burnley looked a little bit flat. I think if Burnley were a lot more up for it Saturday, or if they would have played like they was a lot more up for it with their intensity, I think they could have made it a very difficult game for us. I don't think it was like a perfect performance. I still think there's a lot of stuff there that Frank will see, not necessarily that needs to be worked on, but they haven't necessarily been tested yet. And I think that Rennes will present problems that we won't expect and stuff like that. As fans, at least, the players and Frank and everything would expect them. So I think it will be a difficult game. I think the most important thing now that we've had a little run of clean sheets, a clean sheet is always massive, right? And if we got another clean sheet, that would be like, the icing on the cake if we was to win as well. But I think now we need to concentrate on making sure the balance is always there against better sides and stuff like that and being able to create chances. Now that we know that we're not just going to make stupid mistakes and concede 3, 4, 5, 6 goals a game and keep making these mistakes, I think that a clean sheet is kind of less important during the week. I think it's more about the performance and the result now. But yeah, keep riding it and, start the game well. I'd like to really, really see us start the game really positively and sort of treat the start of the game how it would be when the Chelsea fans were there, because we're notorious fast starters at Stamford Bridge. Any big game at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League or the Europa League or the Cup Winners' Cup and other formats down the years, we kind of always get an early goal at Stamford Bridge. Napoli, Drogba in the first half. Barcelona, Drogba in the first half. Barcelona them 2 times when we scored 3 goals in 10 minutes in 2 separate matches, all in the first half. And various other games at Stamford Bridge where we started quickly as well. So I'd very much like to see that. I'd very much like to see us get a really good start and get a couple of early goals. And, maybe rest a few people for Sheffield United, because Sheffield United is going to be a tough game. They're going to be really, really up for that, Sheffield United. 1 point so far this season. And even that was against Fulham. So I think Sheffield United are going to be really up for it. But I'm expecting 6 points. However, if we don't get 6 points, I'm not necessarily going to be devastated, because it is still very early days. And as much as I think that we've got a better chance of winning the league now than we did at the start of the season, I still don't think we're actually going to win the league. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to
I'm expecting a win.
How nice is it looking forward to these games with these wins behind us now?
Well, yes, and Rennes is going to be a tough game. I know I did say that I'm expecting a win, and I am expecting a win. Rennes will be a tough game, but we're on form. We've got a keeper now that is able to keep clean sheets, unlike his predecessor. People certainly want to play us now a lot less than they did 6 months ago. Agreed. It'll be interesting how the Seville-Krasnodar game goes, because I am expecting Seville to get 6 points out of that one as well. So ideally, I don't really want to be thinking about maybe getting 2 draws against Rennes. That will cause a bit of an issue. But no, I am honestly expecting a win. I think Havertz is slowly again making good progress. So it all looks very, very positive. Unlike a certain team in Manchester, which looks fucking frighteningly terrible. But again, a nice win against Rennes, and obviously we will review that on the Blue Day podcast.
But what I will say is that I am predicting a penalty, and I will make sure I get my reaction to the penalty, and I will make sure I put it up on the YouTube. We've had a few views on that recently on our YouTube, and if you haven't found us on YouTube, it's the Blue Day Podcast, and on Facebook and on Instagram it is the Blue Day Podcast. And if you have any opinions or views that you'd like to air, or if you disagree or agree with myself or Keith, or if you like me and Keith or dislike me and Keith, whatever it may be, please get in touch with us. The Blue Day Podcast @gmail.com. We do try to air what our viewers think, and we try to reply as often as we can. I know that we've had some good emails, and from as far away as Australia. Luke, how you going? I hope that you're listening and hope you're doing well. And as far away as America as well. So keep getting around the YouTube channel. Give us a sub. The more subs and likes and views that we get on YouTube, the more uploads we're allowed to put on, and the more privileges we get from YouTube. So the better content we can make for you. We can start doing better live streams and, uploading more stuff. So get around that and support that as best you can. Obviously, keep an eye on there for all the latest news regarding the upcoming interview with the legend that is Ron Chopper Harris. That is going to be available to air quite shortly. There'll be further announcements imminently throughout the week on all of the social media outlets, and also, Keith, if you'd like to take over and sort of give a quick mention to some of the, maybe not mention their names, but talk about the some of the exciting things that might be coming up on the podcast this year, and indeed early into next year.
Well, I'm glad you've mentioned that. Regards to Ron Chopper Harris, that episode will be on next Friday the 13th, for all you people that love superstition. That's the fucking word I was looking for. Thank you for that, Warren. For those of you that obviously like Friday the 13th and the conspiracy theories and all that, yes, we do have Ron Chopper Harris on the Blue Day Podcast Friday the 13th. That will be uploaded on iTunes and YouTube. And I also would like to give a special mention, a special shout out to Will, who's living in Indiana at this moment in time. He is the one that sorted out a few of the pictures that we've uploaded recently. Of course, there was one of the special guest announcement for Ron Chopper Harris that I uploaded. Very, very nice guy. So, special mention to him. Top guy. And it is nice to actually get people that want to be part of this, whereby, a few months ago, in fact, no one fucking knew what the Blue Day Podcast was.
Thanks very much. Will actually got in touch with us, didn't he, and said that he'd like to, showed us some of his thumbnails, some of his artwork, and it was really, really good. And he said that he gave us permission to use some of his bits and pieces and stuff. So yeah, thanks very much, Will. Thank you very much for supporting the Blue Day Podcast. And if anyone needs any artwork or thumbnails done for their websites or for their own little projects, or just for their own amusement or whatever, get in touch with us, bluedaypodcast@gmail.com, and we'll happily pass on Will's details. He does some really fantastic work, and not just for sports as well. He's really good at what he does.
We are sort of looking to do some more content with the Blue Day Podcast. We are looking to do more stuff on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, the whole hog. We're not looking to do TikTok. Someone did fucking ask me that the other day if we was looking to do something
maybe in
TikTok.
The future. Maybe
I'll let you do that one. That one's not for me.
If the demand was high enough, it would certainly be something. Because at the end of the day, as much as me and Keith do this podcast and we enjoy it and we get a lot of enjoyment and a lot of fun and a platform and an opportunity to express our opinions and stuff. And as much as that being said, we do it for our listeners as well. So if the demand was there, it'd certainly be something that we'd look into for you. But for now, get around the YouTube and the Instagram But for now, next Friday. It's sort of like 10, 11 days until the Chopper Harris interview. So excited for everyone to listen to that. Please, everyone get in touch with, let us know how we did. Try and make it constructive if you can, but, criticism is welcome. Look forward to that. Other than that, was there anything else, Kev? I think we've sort of covered everything today, haven't we?
Warren, it's been great to see Chelsea finally keep consecutive clean sheets. It's great that Chelsea are also now scoring goals. It's great that Manchester United are fucking up as always. So let's just carry on with this form, shall we?
Indeed.
Brilliant. Well, Harry J and the All-Stars are going to sing us out as always. I have been Keith Lawrence. He's been Warren. Enjoy the rest of your day and carefree.